Hello everyone, it's Carla, the Cosmic Crone. I'm here with the first new moon reading of 2021, the Capricorn new moon. Oh my gosh, what a chart. I'll show you a picture. You can see I don't have very many lines written in. And I see a couple of more lines I could have drawn in sometimes I look and it takes a while to see everything. We have had years and years of intense astrology in Capricorn, Pluto. First it was the Pluto-Uranus square, then it was the Pluto square Eris and Uranus in Aries. Then the Mars retrograde square Pluto in Aries. And now and then all of the conjunctions, Saturn and Jupiter, and Saturn retrograding. It's been intense. And it started before. It really started pretty much, I think, the second Obama administration, if we were to mark things by U.S. events. And sometimes those of us who live here think that we are the only one having events. And so I remind myself that's not accurate at all. But as things go, in the United States, so the trends are elsewhere. We are not the only place that these things are happening. We may be more delusional about ourselves as a nation than other people, than other countries are. So I'm just going to talk about what's happening right now. Things are still intense. Pluto, well, first off, this new moon, in a way, it's like the ushering in of a new era. We do have a change of administration happening, but it's not happening peacefully. It is happening in the midst of chaos. And it will complete in 2023 with the U.S. Pluto return. Almost 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which is considered the birth moment of the United States. So this new moon is ushering in another phase of that era. And as an American, I can say, yikes. You know, am I looking at the devolution, the dissolution of a country that is built, at least, on the illusion of just principles for some people, if not for all. And then, of course, the goddess in me, the one who sits with Lilith, who is just tapping her foot and saying, you know, your chickens are coming home to roost. The demonized goddess is returning. The divine feminine is returning. Patriarchy is dismantling. And the United States is definitely a bastion of patriarchy, built by, for, and with patriarchy, to uphold patriarchy. And I've been saying for a long time throughout this Pluto-Eris conjunction and all of the other Eris material going on in Aries, I've been saying that's not pretty. It's not easy. It's terrifying. And it's what we are working for. So whether we are dismantling patriarchy inside of ourselves, our old beliefs, our system of being, inside, which was planted there by patriarchy, or whether we are in some way working to change patriarchy. Now, there's a human tendency to want this to happen in a peaceful way, an orderly way, to have people see the light, to be able to make laws and have them have an effect, to vote out an old regime and vote in a new, to have younger people of color and women running things. And that helps. It's important and it matters. But dismantling is dismantling. And you can dismantle things like you would an old barn that you're going to take down and number and put back together at a new site. And you want that to be orderly. And you want to preserve the essence of what works and what's good. Or you can dismantle it with a tornado that turns that entire barn into matchsticks, into rubble, into firewood, and scatters it to the four winds. And then what have you got? Well, what's it going to be? Lilith and Eris are hard cases. They really don't give a shit whether it hurts or not. They will do whatever's necessary. Lilith abandoned the garden in order to hold her integrity as divine feminine. Eris, she represents in some ways a shadowy, baser self. She was full of jealousy and envy and resentment, and so she didn't care that she started a world war in the ancient times. As long as people noticed her. As long as they couldn't enjoy themselves, leaving her out, not inviting her to the party. Both the natural order of justice, Martin Luther King Jr., what did he say? The arc of justice, the arc of, I can't remember how it goes. This is terrible. But he talked about the arc of justice, or the arc that bends towards justice. And I think that's Lilith. She knows that bending is painful, that change is painful. But she knows it bends towards truth. And that people who are waking up, who are embodied, who recognize that they are part of this unique and complex organism called Gaia, nature, and humankind, all of life, she knows that it will bend towards truth. And Eris doesn't care. Eris will take a gun and storm the Capitol. Eris will infiltrate peaceful protesters and riot. Eris will become so furious that she will take to the streets and risk everything. Well, that's the fabric that we are looking at right now. That's the environment in which this new moon, the sun and the moon together at 2313 Capricorn, and they are within a degree of Pluto. They are conjunct Pluto, and that full moon is happening at midnight where I live in New England, and a couple of minutes later in other parts of the world, on the eastern seaboard, the stroke of midnight, this new moon. And the following day, still in the new moon window, the sun will be conjunct Pluto. And Pluto is at this very moment, everything is in a square to Eris. Eris in Aries, where she has been for the entirety, for nearly a century, and will be for a good long time to come. The rest of our natural lives, probably, or at least my natural life. So this moon is highlighting Eris. Now, how can we make use of this energy? This is potent energy. Someone just moments ago posted to my group, Womb Wisdom Portal, a piece about this is the womb. This is the darkness of the womb, and we are in birth pangs, and birth is hard. It's hard work. It's chaotic. It's frightening. I'm paraphrasing because I just read it very quickly before I came on here. I will post it on this page later because this is important, incredibly important truth to realize. We are birthing a new world. Do you remember not 3 weeks ago, at the solstice, we got together for a ritual. And if you're in my group or on my email list, you got that ritual. It was gifted to you, where we are tapping into the womb to elevate our vibration, to come into alignment with what is required as we are birthing a new world, as we are being birthed ourselves into it. So Eris is scary, but we need her, and we need not to fear her. We need to expand and let her in and know how to master that chaos. And this new moon offers an opening for mastering the chaos. And those of us who work with ritual and ceremony know that ritual and ceremony are a way that we can create a container for chaos and transformation. Something will die and leave. Something will rot, something will burn, something will fall away. We, our old self, will fall away, and something new is ready to be born. And we don't even know what that is. It's frightening to not know exactly who we're becoming, even when we are claiming, saying, yes, that is who I am. Spirit has told me who I am and what my purpose is, and I will stand up and embody those qualities and follow my instructions and do that work. But what does that mean? How does that look? How do I act? What's my next step? How will I take care of myself and my loved ones? What risks am I taking? Well, we risk everything, as Lilith did when she left the garden, as Eris did when she threw that apple into the party and started the freaking Trojan War. So every new moon is a portal. It's the beginning of a cycle. It is a way where we set our intentions, and it is a time of darkness. Here, where I live, at that moment of darkness, for some of you it will be sunset, for some of you it will be the wee hours of the morning or dawn or maybe even midday. You know, it will be happening in the sky above you. Come into that sense of the dark moon. The moon has turned its back. The moon is facing towards the sun, away from the earth. And our bodies know the moon. The moon goes through these paces every 29 days. So when the moon disappears in the bright light of the sun, we know it's time to go quiet, to go within, to tap into our inner power, our inner resources. Those of you who know womb centering, you can drop into your womb, connect with the earth, connect with the cosmos, and listen. And I could stop this reading right here, but there are a couple of other things that I'm going to include because it might be helpful for you to hear them. next door to Capricorn in Aquarius, we have the movement still of Jupiter and Saturn, Hecate and, oh, who is that? Hecate and Mercury, and let me get into the light here. Oh, and Lilith asteroid has joined Saturn she's in an exact conjunction to Saturn. Well, this is perfect. We need to know this. Lilith is the disowned feminine within. She has tapped into the container, the womb, the jar, the cauldron of Saturn. And she is stirring things up, and she's allowing herself to be stirred. And she is very close and moving ahead to join Jupiter. And she will use that Jupiter energy to expand and be born. So remember this, you've heard me say it before. When you are acknowledging that which you have disowned, when you look at it, see it, feel it, experience it, embody it, it's no longer disowned and the power is unleashed. So this is for each one of us, male or female, but especially the female-bodied of us who have carried this feminine wound since birth and carried it through generations. We have the weight of all the women before us who struggled, who suffered, who were punished for being born woman. Yeah, she has entered into the Saturn-Jupiter cauldron, and she is going to be born in her full power. All right, this is good. This is something that is always happening to us, but at this moment it's incredibly potent because Dalai Lama supposedly said the Western woman will save the world. I haven't found that actual quote, but it gets repeated a lot. But thank you, Dalai Lama. I appreciate that you have that wisdom. I've been saying it for years. My teachers have said it. My sisters have said it. We know it. Not just Western women, but women everywhere are in the business of saving the world, preserving life. So when this disowned part that has been wounded and feeling disempowered wakes up to a new level during this new moon energy, allow it. Allow yourself to expand because she's big, she's huge, and she wants you to grow, to contain her, to walk with her, to embody her. I had no idea this was all in this reading. I really do pray before I come on here to the Cosmic Crone to say, show me what's up. So I think I know what's going on, but I don't until she starts talking. This is really important to me because I have planets. I have natal planets sitting with all of these people that are currently here in Aquarius. My Chiron Venus conjunction, my Pholus, and my Albion. So this is incredibly personal to me, and I wonder where it is for you. What planets do you have in aspect to this full moon, this new moon and all these other planets? This cluster of planets in early Aquarius is square a cluster of planets over in Taurus. Mars, Uranus, and Albion, and Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith, the feminine, the goddess before patriarchy. She is that pure, unadulterated, divine feminine who was embodied as Lilith in the garden until patriarchy made it impossible for her to stay. It turned her into a demon. So when we have that, well, what that does, first off, Mars, masculine, focused, direct warrior energy says, and exact square, he says, fight, push, go. He says, he could be, squares are seen as difficult, and I see them as action-oriented. It requires action. It requires reaching out and grabbing Mars and saying, give me your sword, give me your shield. I am taking these weapons and I am fighting. All of this, actually I have planets in Taurus that are also impacted here by this. One thing, Taurus stands often, ruled by Venus, Taurus stands for luxury, for life, for self-care, for embodiment, the life of the body, and pleasure. And I believe, as Adrienne Marie Brown has told us in her book, Pleasure Activism, there is a role for pleasure, not just rage. In fact, I'm looking for how to do that because I personally can get into the social media rage, the headline rage, and from rage comes impotence because I do not carry a gun. I do not march. I am an old lady, artist, diva, witch, magical person. What can I do? I've got pleasure. I have the power of my womb. I have the power of my femininity, the power of the goddess within me. And that's what I activate, and that's what I teach women to activate. And so that, for me to step forward even more boldly with my work, that's the call of this moon. And I believe that is the call for all of us because we all have these planets in Taurus and it's impacting our chart somewhere and giving us our instructions. Where do you need to settle into your body? Well, knowing that you have a body and nourishing and resting and adoring your body is one of the ways that you can, you've heard this expression, living well is the best revenge. Well, pleasuring well is excellent activism and revenge. They can't take that away from you. So speaking of pleasure, we have Venus. Venus is in early Capricorn. She's near Pholus. And this is kind of interesting because Pholus, small cause, big effect. Pholus, like Eris, started a war, or at least a big battle, not for the same reasons and not the same way. But he stands for the short fuse, the thing, the unexpected, the unintended consequence of a relatively simple action. And we tend, because he created chaos, he actually caused the wound, Chiron, the wounded healer, he caused that to happen through his actions. He didn't do it personally, but he created the circumstances. And he and Venus have been hanging out together this very day. They are in an exact conjunction, and they'll still be together tomorrow at the new moon. And they are square Chiron. So this Chiron energy, we have Venus, pleasure, abundance, embodiment, the bright and shining goddess. And this morning when I got up, I couldn't see it. It was too low in the sky. But she was having her final Inanna gate with the new moon, the crescent moon and Venus were in conjunction in the wee hours of the night, actually before they rose, or maybe a few hours after they rose. Venus is about to disappear into the sun for 3 months as she goes around the other side of the sun. So we're about to lose her, even though she's going to be here conjunct the sun and moving in conjunction to all of these other planets in Capricorn and Aquarius before emerging at the end around equinox, or a little after. She will become the evening star. So right now, this is a final moment of being kissed by Venus. And it's happening with Pholus. What can you expand? How can you take that healing Venus energy and tap into the deep wisdom of Chiron, born of his wound, and empower that in you? How can you take fear and worry and concern and your sense of perhaps not being enough, or your sense of the world being turned upside down? How can you take that and use it for your power? Receive the power of this chaos. It's not an accident, and it's not bad. It's scary, yes, but it's not bad. So all of these squares, well, there's another square going on. Psyche up in Gemini is square Nessus in Pisces, and this is the healing journey. Psyche represents, once again, another wounded self, the wound you believe you cannot heal. That part of your mind that believes disempowering beliefs and playing small, and the mistakes your mother made, how the kids made fun of you, the shame over mistakes you made when you were a child that are still haunting you. These are the wounds you believe that you cannot heal. We all have them. And Nessus is the planet of healing ancestral wounds, healing ancestral traumas. So wherever those traumas align in your life, be they great or small, be they yours personally from your own personal timeline, or whether they are from your ancestors passed on, the pain of the grandmothers and the grandfathers, there is power there, there is healing there, and we are here at this time to heal it, all of us. So you've heard me say this before, because every time there's an aspect to Nessus, it is an opening that says, go deeper, heal more, become aware, embody truth, recognize that it's not yours, let it go, and get support to do it. It is not something we can do by ourselves. So one more thing I'm going to talk about. You know that I love Vesta, the priestess archetype. And where is she at this new moon? Well, she happens to be trine the new moon. Trine the new moon in Pluto, loosely trine. She is she's at 2115 Virgo in her home place. And yeah, she's trying the new moon. She's in a flow. She is sending flowing energy, and she's kind of all alone over there on that side of the chart. Take a look. She's here, and everything else is happening here. And I think she has lit the sacred flame at the temple. She is holding the sacred erotic flame. She is keeping her vigil That's what it feels like to me. She is keeping a vigil and holding space while we do all of this chaotic working out that this moon is calling for. While we are sending all of this moon energy into these squares to shift, and things will shift. Things are shifting. Things like Pluto and Eris still have a lot of energy to go, but everything else is shifting. And the next time that we meet, we will be in a full moon in Leo with the sun in early Aquarius. The sun will be conjunct Jupiter, Saturn, and I don't know what else because I haven't looked at the whole thing yet. But the moon will be in Leo. Things are shifting. Well, that's the new moon. As always, carve out time for quiet, for silence, for ritual. Listen deeply. Go within. If you have womb centering, it's an excellent time to womb center. It's an excellent time for a drum of fire. We're not doing a lot of gathering. I tend to like to do solitude moon work at the new moon. I will be gathering on Zoom with some priestess sisters for a little while. But mostly, you don't need anyone with you. It's a good time just to be with you and the moon and the divine within. Thank you so much for listening. This will be posted in a few minutes, and I wish you a very blessed new moon.